you know why I love it when a fat guy scores a touchdown?
Why?
Because then you get a fat guy dance. Come on, Mr. Replacements.
Sorry. You did get a fat guy dance. Yeah.
That's why. Why am I doing Collinsworth? God. It's hard. It's hard to make your voice sound different from Madden to Collinsworth. No, if you watch the first half of Texas and Oklahoma State, which is going well so far, Javonte Sweat, I believe that's his name. If I'm wrong, I'll double check that. But a defensive lineman, 346 pounds, scores a touchdown. The first thing I thought of was, Pat, I love it when a fat guy scores a touchdown. Why, John? Because then you get a fat guy dance.
Yeah. Then they do the little sumo wrestler thing.
Yeah.
So Nelly still going strong, huh?
Hmm?
He's performing at Texas Oklahoma State halftime.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize. Cornell Haynes.
Is that his real name?
I need to double check all these names that I just threw out there.
You really need to get back on the name train because the
name train.
Yes, because
dude, in my older age, I am getting bad with names. I was bad before, but like things that I usually would just like, I remember that guy's name.
Yeah,
I'm not good with that shit anymore.
If we had producers on this program, we would make
program.
We would program. We would absolutely go back and get every single one of your who's my guy. Jesse's idea, but it's just that's a lot of work because there's been a lot of who's my guys this past year.
I know. Yeah, believe me, we could definitely use a stat boy like Tony Irrele. Tavontre Sweat. That's close. Tavontre Sweat, and then Nelly's legal name is. Bear with me, everyone. Get on the floor and growl with me. Cornell Haynes. I think I was close. Is that what I said?
That's exactly what you said.
Boom!
So you didn't even know that you said it right. You just said
Take that. I know AJ Cruz's real name, Abraham. Yeah. Enjoy those Stones tickets.
Hey, whoa. Yeah, enjoy it.
No, he won those legitimately. Welcome, everybody, to Just Your Opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We have a lot to get to. We have, well, really just to preview this Niners and Eagles game, which is a big stinky contest. Speaking of stinky, Stephen, right before we started the podcast, something gross just happened between you and Jesse?
Not between us. It's something gross that I did.
Oh, what'd you do?
So we had, I don't think I spoke about this on the pod. We had garbage disposal problems over the past couple of weeks.
I think the last time we hung out, that was an issue.
Yes. The garbage disposal was not working and they had to come in and fix it, right? That was then. So what was that, like 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? Maybe 4 weeks?
When you, me, and John Curley went to Pleasanton, yes.
Yes.
Like that.
So that entire Sunday, or this past Sunday, the entire time I'm watching football, they're in here fixing the garbage disposal again because the water started coming back up after we would run the garbage disposal. Had no idea why. Called them in, and after like maybe an hour and a half straight of drilling, like it sounded like he was drilling. He was running the snake down the disposal. He said he basically broke it even more. He's like, we got to call the plumber. Then as after the plumber came by, and that was even longer. Like they're drilling for like 5 hours at this point.
Hold on. The maintenance guy fucked this up?
Yes.
God damn it.
Yes. But he's such a nice guy, so I didn't really.
Yeah, I know.
I wasn't really like mad at him. I mean, they're not going to charge us for it. He told us flat out that he was going to tell the leasing office everything that happened. But anyway,
right.
After the plumber came in, I guess because the pipes run throughout the building here, like up the floor. I guess anytime someone above us or below us would turn on the sink, then it would make everything leak in the below part.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it really started pouring out. So we got a bunch of towels and had to basically put the towels there to dry it, to stop it from leaking. And we put the towels it was gross, very gross. Put the towels in the washing machine, and a couple of days later, forgot to run the washing machine, and I was starting to do some laundry, and then I thought the towel was just in there because it was already clean and just didn't happen to go in the dryer. So I put it out to dry on the rack, and then I folded it up, the gross sink towel, and put it all over the clean ones. And that's what you just recommend.
Oh my God, Steven. Why would you fold a dirty towel?
I put it out to dry. I freaking, it was just sitting in the washing machine, and I just totally forgot
Inexcusable.
I
That's
totally forgot.
nasty.
I totally forgot that was the one that was covered in nasty garbage disposal water.
So now all your towels are no good?
Just one of them.
But they
Two
touch
of
the
them.
other towels. So by association, they're all dirty now.
Yeah. So we're just going to be a dirty crew from now on.
Hey,
Brutal.
life stinks.
Yeah.
Did you? Well, we were on the air while on the air. We were doing the podcast while this game was going on between the Cowboys and Seahawks. Do you, after seeing that game, Cowboys win 41-38. Not the defensive performance we've seen lately from the Cowboys, but they got the job done. And Dak Prescott throws 3 touchdowns again. He's certainly putting his name in the MVP race. But after seeing that performance, would you say it's clear, and seeing what the Lions did last week, it's clear that the Eagles and Niners, the 2 top teams in the NFC, they're going to battle out this weekend?
I'd still say it's pretty clear, but my main takeaway from that Thursday night game, considering this is a regular season award, I do think you kind of brushed it off, Derek. I thought that was the main point coming out of this game to me, was that Dak Prescott really is rising in the MVP rankings right now. Even though the strength of schedule has been really crappy, the numbers that he's putting up are just astronomical. He's leading the league in touchdowns. I think he has 26 compared to 6 interceptions. What are you looking at on the TV?
Do you mind if I do play-by-play of this Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway?
Yes, of course.
Okay, we got Ryan and Gavin. Here we go. They don't have the numbers up. Jesus. Well, never mind. I can't do play-by-play because no one's keeping track of how many. Oh, wait, you could barely see it. Okay, we got Ryan at 7. We got Gavin at 4. Come on, Gavin. Come on, Gavin. I don't know. Ryan could be a better guy. Who knows? There's no shot clock or anything. This sucks. I'm sorry. This was a lot better last night during the Pac-12 championship. You could actually see the ticker on the TV.
So what? They're passing a bunch of footballs into the
and then it pays for their tuition.
What are makeshift Dr. Pepper cans?
Ooh, looks like we're tied.
I hate how they throw it in with 2 hands. Just use one hand.
It's awkward. So we're doing. All right, here we go. Overtime rules. The student who throws the most footballs within 15 seconds. Okay, here we go.
These 2 would make for a great buddy cop movie.
Gavin and Ryan.
Yeah, these 2 guys.
Here we go.
Did he get in all sorts of shenanigans?
15 seconds. All right, Gavin's got 2.
This is awful for the podcast because
I know.
No one else is watching this.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Apparently, Rockin' New Era's at a show. Ernie 2's at a show right now.
A show or a play? Who won?
A show, a play?
Gavin, I think, won by 1. Oh, there's a lot of confusion.
It looked like Ryan won it to me.
Well, we'll find out.
Jesus Christ. Was that worth it, Derek? Was that worth
No,
it?
not really. Sorry. I thought it was be like it was way more interesting last night during the Pac-12 championship. The way they did it on double overtime rules. Are you kidding me?
Double OT. Oh man,
Ryan's a one-time shootout. All right, we'll get you the results of this. I don't think this has ever happened in the history of Dr. Pepper tuition challenge.
Oh my gosh,
this is insane. This is history, Steven.
Wow, I'm locked in. Sorry, this pod's out.
It's more competitive than the Texas-Oklahoma State game so far.
That it is.
We'll see if they creep back into this game. Now, listen, I don't know if Dak Prescott. Yes, he's playing very well, but do you think he has a legitimate chance at MVP with what's going on with Jalen Hurts?
I think so. Yeah, especially with the remainder, the strength of schedule coming up. Like, I got to take a look at the Cowboys, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy from here. And I don't think they really take that too much into account when they're talking MVP. They do have the Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions, and Commanders. So actually, it's not very easy. And yeah, very much so.
All right, Ryan won.
Oh, Ryan's stoked.
Good for him. All right.
Definitely an offensive lineman.
That was worth it. Definitely an offensive lineman. What?
A big old boy.
He doesn't play football. He's just a student.
He was not. Look at him. That's an offensive line build.
Okay, all right.
My man Ryan Georgian. Georgian, is that his last name? Congrats to him. That's cool.
Georgian, yeah. Georgian. Anyway.
And he goes to the University of Pennsylvania.
Oh, what
Super
the hell?
smart.
I thought it was just one kid from Texas and one kid from Oklahoma State.
No, they didn't have that last night either. We thought it was going to be one between the Ducks and the Huskies, but that didn't happen. It was from two different schools.
By the way, what happened to your Ducks?
I know.
Nine and a half point favorites, too. I was surprised by that.
They really sunk the Ducks. They were paddling their way along across the stream,
Okay,
and the Huskies came in and ate them.
Listen, you know what you're good at. Stick to chairlift analogies, okay?
Yeah. No, tough game. It was a fun game. I mean, it was really back and forth, and obviously the Huskies were dominating at first. Then Oregon came back, but they were just, I don't know. In the end, the Huskies just might be the better team.
And I think they have the better quarterback. We'll see when it comes to draft time. But everybody's talking to me about Bo Nix. I haven't seen it yet. I do like Michael, big Penix energy.
Big Penix energy.
He's interesting.
He's it's weird when he's lefty. I don't know. I just have this unsettling feeling whenever I see a lefty quarterback. It just doesn't look natural.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see his throws reversed, because when I saw Tua's throw with the video reversed and saw him with right hand when it was mirrored and he was throwing with the right hand, yeah, it looked normal. So I'd love to see with Penix what it looks like if he were to throw right-handed, because it is Penix.
It is Penix. I can't wait for draft analysts to screw that up.
Ooh.
As far as Dak Prescott, so you think when we go to the MVP rankings, Jalen Hurts has the clear chairlift ascend, but Dak Prescott slowly coming in second?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Well, he is legit. Literally, the odds are in Dak's second.
He's number 2 now?
Yeah, he's number 2. Mahomes is number 3, and looks like Jackson's number 4. Tua, then Brock Purdy's up there too.
So there's really no chance that McCaffrey wins this thing. He's just gonna get Offensive Player of the Year.
I don't think so. I think it is going to be. It is heading in that direction. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't think, unless the Dallas Cowboys win the division of the NFC East, I don't think he's getting MVP. I think at this point, after Jalen Hurts' performance against the Buffalo Bills, where he accounted for 5 touchdowns, while not putting up gaudy numbers, I think that's right now the clear-cut favorite.
Yep.
But Dak Prescott's playing very well. I mean, as far as the quarterbacks in the NFL, I think he's got the best stats. But we shall see how things finish out. Okay, so if you've been in the Bay Area this week, the biggest talk is Niners and Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the most hyped-up regular season game I could think of quite some time. I'm trying to think of anything in recent memory that is equal to this, but
really, you know what? You put that up. You texted me that, and I started thinking, in recent memory, I think the Bills and Bengals was as hyped up as this one. And then
last year before Damar Hamlin.
Yeah, then what happened with Damar Hamlin obviously happened. But I think that one, I remember the build up to that. There was so much hype around that one, because it's like the 2 best teams in the AFC, and this could be an AFC championship and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, obviously what happened. But that's the one in recent memory. But before that, I can't really think of one. And it's deserving, because these 2 teams are really damn good. It's going to be a battle, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
I would say maybe back in 2019, when it was kind of late in the season, the Saints versus the Niners, and how epic that was with the shootout. Both teams scoring 40 points.
Yeah,
maybe
George Kittle.
Yeah, maybe when the Rams and the Chiefs played each other that Thanksgiving, or I think it was the week before Thanksgiving. I mean, just the last couple of weeks, Eagles and Chiefs, or Eagles and Bills, was entertaining. I don't think it was hyped up as much as this, but with the way the slate is this weekend, not a ton of great games, but this is by far the marquee of the NFL season so far, I would say. Yeah, I don't know. This is pretty big. This is getting on. We'll see what happens with the outcome, but this is kind of getting on Cowboys, Niners, 90s rivalry level a little bit.
Yeah.
With all the trash talk that's been talked, maybe, the Niners get some redemption There needs to be a little more back and forth, and for it to really get to the Cowboys and Niners level of the '90s, they have to meet again in the NFC Championship game.
Right.
And it's looking like both teams may be the 1-2 seed, but I don't know. This hopefully the game meets the hype, but this is probably the most hyped up regular season game I can think of quite some time. I think it trumps Bengals and Bills from a year ago.
Yeah, I can agree. And it's never going to compare to 49ers Cowboys because that goes back decades. That's like a
Yeah.
legit rival. Like those two, there was like a difference in cities and like the coaching style and Bill Walsh and everything from the 70s to the 80s, where the 70s, the Cowboys just dominated. Then the 49ers took over. Then eventually it was the Cowboys again in the 90s. And, they kind of became America's team. And it was just so back and forth. And rivalries just aren't the same because I personally just don't think the sport's as violent as it once was. Actually, I think that's just a fact. It's not as violent as it once was. So, all that smack talk and everything, it just, with the 49ers and Cowboys in the 90s, those ones were just so much more violent, I feel like. And the two teams
Yeah.
truly hated each other and they knew that. These two teams are downplaying it, a lot of it. Like, I'm sorry. I know that Purdy says a lot of things in the media, but I refuse to believe that he doesn't think about that NFC Championship game. I just refuse to believe he has that one track mind. Like nobody can come back from that. And he's just like, literally, that's just my thought. It's just, I'm not even thinking about the NFC Championship. It's like, I don't believe that. I really don't. And
Well,
with the Eagles players all kind of, downplaying the trash talk from Debo. Like it was a huge, like in the locker room. I watched pretty much all those press conferences on YouTube for like 20 minutes. And the same reporter was asking the same question. Debo's trash comments towards James Bradbury. Does that bother you? They're really trying to heighten this thing, elevate it. And didn't work. But I just refuse to believe that these two teams don't hate each other, no matter what they're talking about in the media and how they're just treating it like another game. Like, no, there's a lot. There's stuff that's riding on this that has nothing to do with playoffs and records and all that. Like, this is a huge game. This is a huge game. And I refuse to believe the players don't even understand that and are just looking at it as another regular season week 13 matchup.
no, there's definitely animosity, no doubt.
Yeah.
I would ask you though, who do you think has more to prove?
The
The 49ers or the Eagles?
I think the Eagles do. I think
You are one of the few people, I think actually the only person that I've asked that question to that have said that. And I am with you on that.
Well, damn it, we need to disagree on something. I mean, we're just too smart.
No, we're not manufacturing shit.
No, but all right, I'll go against it. I think the 49ers have more to prove. No, I think that, dude, to me, the Niners have just been there and done that. And the Eagles, like,
Well, have they? Hold on. Have they?
as far as getting to the NFC Championship 3 out of the last 4 years, yeah.
Okay, but they haven't won anything though.
They haven't won anything. But in this week 13 game, like the Eagles, look, there's been a lot of doubters around the Eagles this year. The 49ers, it feels like, there's a reason they're favored. How can anyone think that the 49ers have more to prove when they're favored? Like, the Eagles are underdogs at home. And the Niners, they've been to the NFC Championship. They've done it. We can't act like Jalen Hurts has been doing this MVP thing his entire career ever since he stepped foot into the league. It started last year.
Mhm.
And I think they have to prove that last year wasn't a fluke, and a team who's been to the NFC Championship damn near every season since 2019 is the 49ers. So to me, the Eagles have more to prove from this regular season game, especially with how people have talked about them this season.
No, I agree with you. I think that
Yeah.
most people believe it's the Niners because of what happened last season and them losing.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I think a good deal of people, including the 49ers players, believe that they would have won that game if Brock Purdy was healthy.
Oh, yeah.
So now we get to see that with knock on wood, hopefully nothing happens in the first quarter like that happened last year. But no, I mean, with all the trash talk, and the consensus is that the Eagles are not as good as a year ago. And I agree with that. Even though they have the same record, 10-1, just something is not clicking the same way it was. They're like the Minnesota Vikings a year ago, where most of their wins were one-score wins. And maybe that's just because they've learned how to compete with the best of the best. Last year was when they were dominant. Now people are gunning for them because they were the NFC champions, and they just hung around because they have more talent. But I think they definitely have something to prove, and you can see that in the line. People believe that the Niners are the better team, and they're 3-point favorites in Philadelphia. I can't stress this enough. That's a huge motivating factor. Like, anyone that I know, like, we're not going to say that players bet on things. They do. We obviously, what's happened in the last few years in the NFL, people have been, gotten punishments, bans because of their involvement in gambling. But I think players are cognizant of the line spreads, and I'm sure Nick Sirianni and, like, everyone uses a form of motivation to get the edge. And however it may be ridiculous to us, you cannot tell me that Nick Sirianni is telling his guys, "You believe this shit? They think that we're underdogs in our home in our own backyard.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not as good as we think we are, guys. What do you think?"
There's
And that's
there's you know what? There's one guy who I don't believe as much as any of the others, and that is Nick Sirianni. I do not believe that he's like looking at this as just some 2023 new season, new team. It's not a rematch. We're not looking to. Yes, you are, Nick. Come on, dude. Like, you said that all against the Chiefs, and then you walk back into the tunnel, and then you yell at Chiefs fans after the win. Like, come on, man. Stop lying, Nick. You're just trying not to give them bulletin board material. That's all you're trying to do. Like, as much as anyone, I actually believe Kyle Shanahan, because Shanahan's kind of robotic that way. And I believe that. I don't really believe the players too much, but Nick Sirianni, I truly don't believe. I'll give the players the benefit of the doubt because, like, they always take it 1 week at a time. But yeah, not Nick Sirianni.
the only guy I believe is Jalen Hurts, because that guy has ice water through his veins.
This is
He
true.
just no pulse. Like, when that kick went through, he's like, "All right."
Yeah,
Like,
he doesn't like he doesn't like being in that situation because he knows, like, they could have avoided that had he played a little bit better.
Yeah, no, he's cool, calm, collected, and that's what you want in a leader. He says
Yeah.
all the right things. Nick Sirianni, I mean, yeah, I think that here's what I'll say about Nick Sirianni. I've heard a lot of people in Bay Area radio this week talk about how they don't like him. I was frustrated with him earlier this season because I felt like he wasn't doing anything creative with the offense. Now, he's not the play caller. Initially, he was, but he gave those duties to Shane Steichen, and now Ben Johnson is the offensive coordinator. Or no, sorry, is it Brian Johnson? I'm mixing up the offensive coordinators with the Lions and the Eagles.
Ben Johnson is for the Lions. Brian Johnson's for the Eagles.
Right, yes. And I just thought that they came out with a very simplistic offense to start the season. Now they've changed it up a little bit. I still don't understand the Rashad Penny thing, but it is what it is. They're running with DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott. But now I am seeing a little bit more in what Nick Sirianni does. He motivates the team. He is cerebral with his X's and O's. And yes, he is very passionate on the sidelines. He is a meathead in that regard, but I don't think he's a meathead coach. He's very measured when he speaks to the media. But when he's on the sidelines, you best believe he's going to talk shit to the Colts fans. That one's for Frank Reich. And he's going to talk shit to the Chiefs fans. He's just passionate. I literally watched just this morning, I watched a NFL Films thing of Nick Sirianni with his brothers. Have you seen that, Steven?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I saw the link to it. Is it good?
It's good. It's just him and his other brothers. I mean, the reality is Nick Sirianni, like Tommy DeVito, is very Italian. He's got an Italian family, and he's very passionate. They have like little B-roll shots of him playing ping pong with his brothers. He's like, "Fuck," like angry. And then at one point, they're all interviewing his family, his parents and his two brothers, and his mom just goes, I don't I don't really appreciate all the trash talk that Nick does sometimes. And then he goes, "I don't trash talk, Mom. Okay, I don't say anything bad. I'm just saying what I feel. All right? Is that so wrong?" And then like, and like his brother's like, "No, no, no, no. Hey, easy, man."
Yeah.
Like he's just a very passionate guy. So is he the most cool, calm, collected coach? Is he stoic on the sidelines? No. But you know what? He's very Philly. Like, I remember last year when they won that game against the Giants, and he's like doing the Eagle thing into the camera, and he's yelling at his coaches, "I know what the fuck I'm doing, okay?" He's just very animated. And I kind of like that. He's like, didn't we love that with Gruden prior to all the bullshit? Didn't we love that with Gruden?
Of course we did. Of course we did. But then social media came around, and then all of a sudden you're making it out to be these guys are who they are. He's just I'm not saying it's a bad thing that he's a meathead. I like how passionate he is. I mean, did you see him crying before the national anthem last year? Like, this dude cares.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind him as a head coach, but I also understand why people wouldn't like him and would want to see him
Yeah.
lose wherever he is. But he is very measured in the press conferences. He doesn't let the emotions get the best of him, and it's a very veteran move of him, even though he's only in his third year.
Third
So
year being a head coach. Yep.
yeah. So all of it though, like this game, I don't. There's not a non-division rivalry I could think of that's brewing right now that's as good as this one. Like, that's why there's so much hype around it, so much buzz, because like these two teams, they're very, very good. They're not in the same division. You're not going to see them play every regular season. They're not going to play each other next year. So the fact that you get to play,
they might if they finish with first in their divisions.
Good point. So like, this is the one I think everyone realizes and everyone knows, like, okay, this is that next great rivalry right now that we've been waiting for.
Yeah, I would say, though, yes, it's building because a lot of trash talk. But also, I would say Bengals Chiefs has a lot of that, too. We just won't get it this year.
Yeah.
But in recent years, with how much the Bengals have beaten the Chiefs, and the Chiefs came back in the AFC Championship game, got bailed out by little, penalties here or there, that one maybe have more history than what this has currently. But we'll see. It's brewing towards something big.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the Eagles actually have a little more to prove than the Niners. I think that there'll be more talking points that if the Niners go in there and kick their ass, that are the Eagles frauds. If the Niners lose, it's like, well, they may have the same question marks. It's kind of even. It's interesting because despite what happened last year, I don't think we've seen what really happens when both of these teams are 100% and play each other. We still may not. There's a lot of injuries on the Eagles side, but that doesn't really matter in this point. When it comes to the quarterbacks being played, people expect the best of the best. So we'll see.
In your time this past week with taking callers and whatnot, would you say that some are not sold on Jalen Hurts yet, or are they giving him his flowers, giving him his due, and respecting who he is as a quarterback? Because I don't listen to callers, for hours on end anymore like I used to, so I don't really have a good grasp on it. But what my feeling is, just looking at social media and remembering it from last year and the reaction to the NFC Championship, my guess is that Jalen Hurts still has to prove to Niner fans that he's like that guy, because I really think a big part of the Brock Purdy MVP conversation is coming from people who just don't think Jalen Hurts deserves it. So would you say there's that type of development within the fan base?
I wouldn't know, and I'll be completely honest with you, Steven. We have not asked callers stuff with this matchup. I'll be completely honest. The timing of everything this week with KMBR has been rough.
Right. Yeah.
So, we're kind of being sensitive with that.
No,
but
I get that. Yeah, you don't, because callers,
yeah,
for the most part, would be interested in asking about the station as opposed
Yeah.
to actually asking about or talking about football. So
correct. So, but with as far as this game, I mean, do you get that sense that Niner fans don't buy Jalen Hurts?
I did last year. Yeah, I did last year, and I think I think it's in there. I don't know. Maybe this year it's changed, but it felt like last year. I just remember going into the Super Bowl, hearing stuff about Hurts, and I'm like, Hurts was fantastic. Stop. The fact that he lost, like, don't use that Super Bowl if you're gonna use that as an example as to why Hurts isn't as good as everyone says he is.
I would say that I think you and I talked about it. I was not buying Jalen Hurts coming into last season, the 22 season, just because I remember that playoff game he had against the Bucks where he was wildly inaccurate. And I remember we had Joe Fortenbaugh on to preview the season. He was like, Jalen Hurts is not that guy. He's not the guy I already know. And I think we all kind of felt that too. They were close to trading for Russell Wilson, and then boom, that dude just had an MVP type season. He might have won it if he didn't get hurt. He changed his passing mechanics, and that's the biggest. To me, I am more impressed with Jalen Hurts than I am with Lamar Jackson. just
Right.
because I've seen what Jalen Hurts has done changing as a pure passer. Sorry, he's not a pure passer. He's a runner as well. But just when he needs to drop back and throw, I've been very impressed. And maybe that's a good deal related to the receivers he has with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown being great. And I think Lamar Jackson can do that, but I haven't seen it on a consistent level that I've seen it with Jalen Hurts now. So for my money, Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback and definitely one of the best in football right now, if not the best in the NFC. He's the MVP favorite right now. I would say that Brock Purdy has more to prove in this game than Jalen Hurts because he didn't finish the game last time. Everyone's talking about how, oh, if Brock Purdy was healthy, they would have won the game. Well, how's he going to deal with pressure? Like,
Yeah.
still, you know, and also a big factor in this game will be the rain. There's a 77% chance of rain in Philadelphia. The Eagles won last week when it was pouring in their own backyard against the Buffalo Bills. And so far this season for the Niners, when they played the Cleveland Browns and it rained, Brock Purdy struggled. Now, he talked about wearing a glove, and we'll see if he does that. But I think Brock Purdy has more to prove as a quarterback than Jalen Hurts does at this point.
Well, of course he does. Of course he has more to prove, but that's why I asked the question, because I didn't really know with Hurts. I didn't really know, at least prove to who? Like prove to like the NFL fans? Like prove to who? What do you mean? Like when they have more to prove? Because when I'm thinking more to prove, I'm kind of thinking like more to prove to the opposing fan base. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it right now, as opposed to like, because I think Purdy's already proven himself. I think we know who he is, but
Yeah, but if we're, I mean, when I'm saying that, I guess what I mean is, I guess, prove to the media, which is a dumb thing to do. Like at this point, I think Brock Purdy has nothing to prove. But as far as can he go into Philadelphia and beat them, that's the thing I think he has to prove.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
something that Kyle Shanahan does as well. You brought up that stat, Steven, and I asked you, do you really think that Kyle Shanahan is a good fourth quarter coach? And you said no. And I don't know if I believe that, but the stats do back that up. I have looked all over for those stats, and the stats we're talking about is that Kyle Shanahan is 1-31 heading into the fourth quarter when the Niners are down by 3 points or more. He is 0-37 when they are
that's it.
down by 8 points or more. And yesterday, new member of the KNBR team, John Dickinson, and I were looking through what was the one time that the Niners were down by 3 points or more where they came back. And the answer, everyone has the stat, but no one had the game. The answer is in 2019 when they were down to the Rams at home. They were down 28-24 heading into the fourth quarter, and they came back to win that game. If you remember, it was when the Niners faced 2 3rd-and-16s, and Jimmy Garoppolo had to hit Emmanuel Sanders to get them in
Yeah,
field goal range.
yeah,
So I just don't think, though, they've been in those positions where that needs to happen. And let's be real, Jimmy Garoppolo has been his quarterback for most of those games. And Jimmy's not the best quarterback to lead you when you're down. Brock Purdy may be that guy, but we don't know yet. And in times where that's happened this season against the Browns and against the Vikings, he hasn't looked good in those situations.
yeah. I was also thinking you kind of triggered something, because I agree. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan's going to do if they're down by that amount. Like that number's damning. Like 0-30, whatever it is, 0-37. That's crazy. Like the most without a win since 2000. I just looked it up. But with the Jimmy Garoppolo thing, that's kind of where we measure Brock Purdy, right? We're kind of like comparing him to Jimmy Garoppolo. Like I do think that a lot of quarterbacks would thrive in the Shanahan system. And I think that Garoppolo was not nearly as good as we made him out to be. So it's like, I think that if we measure Purdy and it's just, he's unlocked this offense. Well, I actually do think that there are quite a few quarterbacks who could thrive in that system and do what Purdy's doing right now. Are many quarterbacks as calm as Purdy can be in the pocket? No. There's times when he's just doesn't even look like he's breathing. Like he just looks that kind of stoic. Just looks like he's that confident. But there's been times where we have seen the pass rush get to him. I just think whenever we're talking about Purdy, we're talking about using Garoppolo as like the barometer. And I don't think Garoppolo was as good as we actually thought that he was. Like he's an afterthought with the Raiders. and he's supposed to thrive with the McDaniels system. I don't know what point I'm trying to get at. I just think it's interesting with Shanahan and Purdy and that whole dynamic where we measure Purdy. We don't really talk about that with other quarterbacks because we don't know. I don't know what point I'm trying to get at here, Derek, but basically what I'm trying to say is Purdy's great, but if we're going to use Garoppolo as the way to measure that, I don't know if we can, because
No.
I just to say like no other quarterback would do what Purdy's doing, I just don't believe that.
No, I agree with you on that one. But yeah, I think we use Garoppolo as the measuring stick. If always better than Jimmy, so that's good
Yes.
enough.
Thank you for that word. Measuring stick was what I was looking for.
We don't know yet. Well, barometer was good too. It's pronounced thermometer, by the way. We don't know what I mean. Brock has won 2 playoff games, and he's cool, calm, collected, and a good leader. But yeah, I'd still say he has something to prove in this game against Philadelphia. Now, let me ask you this. We asked Matt Mayoko this, and this is a question that I think you brought up when we talked last week about when Tim Kawakami asked Kyle Shanahan if Brock Purdy's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback.
Yes.
We got into that on the show, and I guess the question that Tom came up with was, would you want Brock Purdy or would you want Justin Herbert? Now, some may say that Justin Herbert has more of the skill set that you want in a quarterback. He can run, he could throw, he looks the part. Brock Purdy does not. But is that what really matters? Would you trust Justin Herbert to run this offense the same way that Kyle Shanahan would want it run with Brock Purdy?
I would. Yeah.
I mean, most people would say that.
I would.
But Matt Mayoko came on too, and he's like, I've watched Justin Herbert this year. He's great, but he misses a lot of throws too. So is it just a perfect thing of like, are we really just going back to the draft thing of a Super Bowl caliber quarterback is a guy that's taken in the first round that looks the part as opposed to what Brock Purdy is?
I just want Justin Herbert a little more because I think what goes into that Kyle Shanahan record in part is the quarterback. It is Kyle Shanahan, but in part it's the quarterback because I'm going to go back to that one thing that Steve Young said, besides the force. In order to get these big plays downfield, Brock Purdy needs 5 plays to make it happen. These prototypical quarterbacks need 3. And I think that's the biggest question here is in the fourth quarter, what happens if you're in a situation where you need points and you need points fast? Like you can't do this. Hey, we're going to run a screen pass to Debo and it's going to be a bubble screen here. And then it's going to be a bubble screen to Brandon Ayuk. And then it's going to be, we're going to go in the shotgun and we're going to have Christian McCaffrey run behind the line of scrimmage, but we're going to run the clock out. Like that's not going to work. So would I rather have Justin Herbert or Brock Purdy in that situation? I'd have Justin Herbert because I think Justin Herbert can make those throws. And that's what I still need to see from Purdy too. Like I don't think that I think we really get caught up in the whole conversation of it's crazy that people don't believe in Purdy. It's a little bit crazy in that they don't believe in him as an NFL starter still. I think that's a little crazy. But there are certain situations he hasn't been in that other quarterbacks have proven they can actually thrive in. I haven't seen that from Purdy yet. Like look at every win. Look at every win. Except for one, there's just been a bunch of blowouts. And he absolutely knows how to do that.
Right. Perfect segue to my point. Do you feel comfortable with the 49ers winning in a blowout or a close game?
No, it's a blowout every time. They're built to blow out teams.
Okay, but if it has to be a game that the Eagles have been playing for most of this season, a one-score game, who do you give the advantage to?
Well, I'd have to give it to the Eagles because I haven't seen it too much with the Niners this year. I just haven't. And we haven't really with Shanahan.
Yeah. So then the reality is, we talked about this last podcast, I think it's incumbent on whoever wins the coin toss to take the possession.
Yeah.
Whoever establishes a lead in this game probably has a better chance of winning. Like I don't think there's any scenario where the Eagles can just rely on the second half to come back in this game like they did the last 2 weeks. Like they're not playing the Buffalo Bills defense. It's a good defense, They're not playing the Chiefs defense. It's a good defense. They're playing the Niners defense, which is a great defense. And if they just feel the same lackadaisical thing of, we'll come back in the second half and Jalen Hurts will throw to AJ Brown and it will be amazing and we'll be back in this game. We'll get bailed out by certain calls and plays. You can't rely on that in this game. They can't fuck around. This is the biggest test the Eagles have faced, and it's also equally the biggest test that the Niners have faced.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah. I guess I need the Niners have a lot to prove in the sense that I need to see how they react in a one possession game, because in the playoffs, let's just go through them all. I mean, the losses they've had, they were neck and neck with the Rams and they let that slip, and that game was close, and in the end they lost that. Then last year it was just because of Brock Purdy getting hurt. I will say, the lone game that comes to mind is last year against the Cowboys in the playoffs. That was close, and they were able to get that one.
Yeah. The one
So
against the
there-
Packers, they've done that too.
No, I mean, there's definitely been moments, but I think that for this season, it helps when Brock Purdy has a lead and he's able to beat teams down. You score on the opening possession, and then you just keep going. You're able to tee off on the defense. The pass rush is able to get to Jalen Hurts. That's how you win the game. But if they're going to go score for score, I give the edge to the Eagles just because they've been in this situation so many times this season.
If there's a position battle that you had to choose, like that you're going to be keeping an eye on, which one is it? Is it the Eagles offensive line against the 49ers D line? Is it what is it? Is it the linebackers against the Christian McCaffrey? Is it I don't know how the 49ers are going to stop the run. Is it the linebackers there? Is it the safety on George Kittle? Like which position battle are you looking for?
The biggest thing that stands out to me, and I noticed it in the Bills game with the Eagles, was there was a play early on where James Cook split out on Nicholas Morrow. I think I brought this up last podcast, and they were going to use him to go out deep. James Cook dropped that ball.
Yeah.
The Eagles' biggest weakness is their linebacking core. They are susceptible to, this is the perfect game for Christian McCaffrey. It's the perfect game for Deebo Samuel, too. Like, Deebo has talked a bunch of trash, talked about James Bradbury being trash. There's pressure on Deebo to play in this game and play well, given all he said. And this is the perfect. I think Kyle Shanahan should have the same exact game plan that he had a week ago against the Seahawks, where he lines up Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, and you don't know which one's going to be the receiver and which one's going to be the running back. I don't think the Eagles linebackers can handle Christian McCaffrey at all. Like I said, I don't know if the timing's going to work out. They have to do it today. I would have signed Shaq Leonard before this game and had him on McCaffrey, but that's too late at this point. I think it's a total mismatch. I don't think the Eagles linebackers can cover, let alone George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Christian McCaffrey. Like that, they need to attack their linebackers. Nicholas Morrow is the only healthy linebacker, and we know him from the Raiders. I thought he was never that great, just kind of a good coverage linebacker, but he'll get exposed with McCaffrey.
Yeah.
They don't have Zach Cunningham. They don't have Nakobe Dean. I think that's the biggest mismatch in this whole matchup, and I think that's where Kyle Shanahan's going to kill him.
All right. I'm just going to say, I think the trenches, it's where it's going to be. I'm looking forward to the most, because you're really going against the best offensive line in football. And I think the 49ers defensive line has been the best in football since they traded for Chase Young. It's strength on strength. It's going to be just an absolute dogfight in there in the trenches. But I can't help but think, and among those players who talked in the locker room, one who didn't, Darius Slay. And
Whoa, say his name right, Steven.
What is it?
In Greg Papa terms, Darius Big Play Slay.
Oh, sorry.
You always got to say the nickname.
Ball out. Darius Slay is a very confident individual. And I have a feeling that if you talk a little smack against one of his teammates, that he's not going to take too kindly to that. So it's not even the James Bradbury and Deebo angle, because I actually kind of think Bradbury knows that Deebo has the edge on him. I think Slay is going to be one where it's like, all right, You're going to diss my teammate like that? Like, that's the one I'm looking for. It's not even the Bradbury Debo combo. It's Darius Slay and Debo, and when they're lined up against each other. And if Debo doesn't make a play, because Slay is not afraid to talk. He is not afraid to talk. So that's the one I'm looking forward to, I think, the most. I'd choose the offensive line of the Eagles and the 49ers defensive line, but the Debo and Slay matchup, if that ever happens, I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, I'll be honest. The Eagles' pass defense has been surprisingly not good.
Oh, it's been terrible.
But with those two corners, like, how is that possible? And I know Bradbury's struggled, but like I'm not a huge fan of him this season. Teams have gone after him. He's made up for it. He made a big play against the Bills last week, but out of the two corners, he's not as good as Darius Slay.
Mm-hmm.
And they also signed Bradley Roby to be their nickel. They obviously traded for Kevin Byard. That's an interesting matchup I want to see with Kevin Byard on George Kittle. The biggest thing for me also is there's, holes in the Niners offensive line. It's still pretty solid, but there's weaknesses on the right side more to the left. The Eagles pass rush, who has not been as great as it was a season ago, needs to get to Purdy. Like this, the whole plan that the Chiefs have had and most teams that have played the Eagles is the quick pass game. But also, the quarterbacks have had time to throw, and there needs to be more pass rush than we've seen this season from the Eagles. And I think that will be a big factor. I think the cornerbacks need to play, like the defense as a whole just needs to play better for the Eagles. And yeah,
it's those guys up the middle of the line to me. The defense, the middle of the Eagles D line. Like I've seen Jalen Carter just manhandle some guards, and it's going to be a huge game for Banks. It's going to be a huge game for Burford. I haven't really heard Burford's name a lot this season. Jake Brendel, the center. Like the middle of that offensive line for the 49ers, they need to have, I think that's the only real position battle, really, I think that can get like exposed. If there's any one that I choose, because I think you're right, the linebackers can get exposed by Christian McCaffrey, but Christian McCaffrey can expose any linebackers, really. Like there's nobody who's covering Christian McCaffrey right now. I know you say Shaq Leonard, but there's also a reason why he wasn't getting playing time. I don't think.
No,
Shaq
I mean that's definite. That's definitely true.
I think Shaq Leonard's kind of really taken a step back, and there's a reason no one signed him right away.
Well, that's also the waiver claim. Like he would cost $6 million.
Yeah. So, the middle of the lines, that's going to be a fascinating one.
Yeah.
Then you got Hassan Reddick, who obviously has been the one doing all the talking.
Well, you can't have whatever backup tight end chip him this game.
Yeah, you can't have Charlie Verner going on the right.
Is Charlie
side.
Verner still on the team?
I think so.
He is. He
I think it was Ross Dwelly last year.
Ross Dwelly
missed the block, but he's not with the team anymore.
That's right. It was Ross Dwelly or Tyler Kroft?
Ooh, might have been Tyler Kroft.
Yeah, I think it was Tyler Kroft. Just to go through the injuries real quick for the Eagles side of things, because there's more significant than the Niners at this point. Fletcher Cox, groin, questionable. Has not practiced the entire week. So I'm going to guess he's not going to play. Dallas Goedert is doubtful. But doubtful doesn't mean you're not going to play, as we saw with Max Crosby. But it's going to be tough for him to play with a broken forearm. But he's gunning to play. Zach Cunningham is out. So linebacker, they're going to be depleted. As far as the Niners, I really didn't see an injury report, but I think Eric Armstead's the only one that was significant, but I think he's going to play. I think Kyle said that's the expectation. All right, real quick, if you had to go through position by position, I'll go through this fast. We'll just go who's better, Eagles or Niners? Quarterback. I think this is kind of easy, but who would you say?
No, it's the Eagles.
Yep. Just because of what Jalen Hurts' dynamic as a player, and not knocking Brock Purdy, but he's just, Jalen Hurts is the MVP favorite, so you can't deny that. Running back, I would say the 49ers.
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah. I mean, DeAndre Swift is playing well, but with the versatility of McCaffrey, you can't argue against that. Wide receiver. This one's tough.
Yeah, it's really tough because Brandon Ayuk's really taken a step up, but I'm going to stand on the hill that I've really stood on since the 2019 draft, but A.J. Brown is a better receiver than Deebo Samuel, and Devontae Smith and Brandon Ayuk, it's a toss-up. I think A.J. Brown has kind of overshadowed Devontae Smith. Devontae's a really solid number 2. I don't know if he's like a number 1 guy. I could take Ayuk as a number 1, but overall, I'd take the Eagles wide receivers over the Niners one.
I would too, just because of the depth. And also, I think that both of those guys can go deep. And the biggest weakness on the Niners' defense is the secondary. I think that A.J. Brown could get the better of Javarius Ward. I think Devontae Smith could get the better of Diamador Lenore. And they got Zacchaeus. I'm not going to say his whole name on the Eagles. They got the Quez Watkins is coming back. He's going to play in this game, I believe. And that's another deep threat. And despite Dallas Goedert being out, they're using Julio Jones to play tight end at times. So that's interesting. So I think they have more depth to the wide receiver room with the Niners, where it's very good. Brandon Ayuk could go deep. Deebo Samuel, not a deep threat, but very versatile, shifty. Juwan Jennings, big body receiver, but that's it. As far,
Right.
well, obviously George Kittle, but tight end, it's not even close. George
Yeah.
Kittle, yeah. Offensive line, you give it to the Eagles.
Yeah.
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 Defensive line.
It's the Niners. I'm giving it to the Niners.
Yeah, I am, just because of what they've shown this season, but I do believe the Eagles are close. I mean, last year they had 76 sacks, and most of those guys are still there. But the biggest thing is Javon Hargrave goes from the Eagles to the Niners.
If Chase Young was on this team for an entire season, though, where would the Niners be in terms of sacks? Because 15 in 3 games is nothing to look at and think they can't do that the remainder of the year. Like that's ferocious.
Yeah, I don't think we should even bring up linebacker because it's not even close.
Not even close.
Secondary.
Ooh. Well, the Niners have been better overall, though. So I mean, if you're looking at players on paper, I'd probably take the Eagles. But just seeing what they've done through this season, I'd take the Niners cornerbacks. I'd take their secondary.
I would go with the Eagles just because of. I know they haven't played as well, but I think they have bigger playmakers in Darius Big Play Slay and Bradbury and
to me the 49ers though I think they make it a lot harder on wide receivers than the Eagles do. I've just seen too many open guys over the middle of the field with the Eagles, and maybe that's the linebackers' fault. Maybe it's the linebackers' fault and not necessarily the corners, but like the Niners really do make it hard on certain guys where like the quarterback has to sometimes make a perfect throw on the dot. I haven't really seen that from the Eagles too much this year. So I'd give the 49ers the edge if I was going to go corner.
Sorry, I'm just getting sidetracked here because Quinn Ewers just got hurt in this game, even though Texas has a huge lead.
I think they'll be fine. It's 42-14.
No, I know, but just for the
he's coming back, so you're good.
Okay. Well, no, the backup's in there now.
What?
The backup's in the game, but it's okay. We're up.
How much time do you have left?
42 seconds left in the third quarter.
Just give it another 10 seconds. You'll see what happens.
Okay, never mind. We're good. Literally just happened.
Damn streaming.
Yeah. What do you want? Cable?
I know. I do kind of want cable. I miss the days of cable.
I don't at all.
Why?
Because this is so much easier.
Yeah, I know.
Never going back. Never. All right, when it's all said and done, Steven, what do you think is the biggest factor in this game?
Well, I think weather's going to be a huge one.
Yeah.
If it's going to rain, I think that's going to be the biggest factor.
Rain.
If it's going to rain, that's going to be the biggest factor in this one to me because I think Hurts is used to it, and Purdy, we've seen sometimes the football slip out of his hands on a certain throws. And we've seen him sometimes get lucky. So I actually think the weather is going to be the biggest factor, if anything, because if the weather forces them to let me see where that comment was from AJ. Foot on the throat, keep it there all game, give them no quarter. That's what the 49ers are best at. Like they will run the ball down your gullet and keep their foot on the gullet until that game's over. But if the rain's there, like, can they sustain that level of play? I don't know. So the rain's going to be the biggest factor to me.
Yeah. And by the way, AJ Cruz, I want to answer your question that you said earlier.
Oh,
Derek, would you say the Chiefs are going through the same thing as Philly, where they're winning, but do they look as strong as they did it last year? Absolutely the same thing. I think it's just because of their wide receiver core. They got away with it last year, but for whatever reason this year they're just not as good. I still think they're the best team in the AFC at this point, but I'll say this too. I didn't say this last podcast. I know this is going to sound crazy. I came away in last week's game having more faith in the Bills than I've ever had before.
Hmm.
I know they lost that game, but the way that they were in that game made me believe that they're figuring things out, and they're 6-6 heading into their bye week. This is very similar to me 2 years ago. We all remember the game where the Patriots just ran the ball every single goddamn time against the
Yeah.
Bills
Yeah.
and they lost.
Didn't Mac Jones throw it like 3 times? I
Yep.
think he had 3 attempts.
And that was like, foreshadowing to today where, Belichick didn't want him to throw then, and he damn sure doesn't want him to throw now. But the reason was because of the high winds in that game. And the Bills lost that game, and I want to say they went to 6-6, and then they didn't lose a game the rest of the season, and they went to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs. They were going to win that game until 13 seconds left. Mahomes pulls one out of his ass, and it's an incredible finish. I got a feeling that the Bills are going to come out of this bye week looking really good, and I wouldn't be surprised if they give the rest of the AFC a run for their money. Are they going to be the top seed in the AFC at this point? Absolutely not. But I could see them, and it's all lining up for the Dolphins to play the Bills the last game of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills went out and they make a run in the AFC playoffs, because despite everything that's gone on, I'm not buying the Chiefs. The Jaguars are still very young. There are no Bengals. It's the Ravens. I don't know about their offense. Defense is very good. I would have more faith in the Bills at this point than any other AFC team. And I know that sounds crazy. I just got a feeling.
You're crazy.
I know.
You're crazy. I think the Chiefs are going to pick it up here in the back half of the season. Still quite a big game.
They might.
Still a few games to go. And I think the Chiefs are going to prove that, like they do every year, like this is why Patrick Mahomes is known as one of the best. Or
all right,
there could still be a regression with him and Travis Kelce.
Okay. We've done all the talking. There's not much more we could say about this game.
What's the biggest factor to you?
McCaffrey and the linebackers, but also the weather. Yeah, I really believe, and home field advantage for the Eagles fans. Dude, I think this whole I think the 49ers being favorites is being downplayed. I think that's a big fucking deal. I really do. I think it's going to motivate the hell out of that team.
Yeah.
But the injuries are a huge factor too for the Eagles.
Yeah.
But they've overcome them. The Eagles are a mystery just because you feel like there's so many times where they should have lost this season, but they didn't. And the only game they did lose, they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts pissed away that game against the Jets.
Uh-huh.
So I still think they should be undefeated.
Yeah.
But then again, they should have lost last week, and they earned that win against the Chiefs. But if MVS catches that ball, they don't.
Right.
It's crazy how things go in the NFL.
Yeah. To me, they got way
It's a game of inches.
To me, they got
staring
way
you
more.
6 inches in the face. Sorry. Had to get my Pacino in there before I cut you off. Go ahead.
They got way more lucky against the Chiefs than they did against the Bills. Like, at least the Chiefs were the ones that forced that. I know that Josh Allen, Gabe Davis play was bad, but I'd say they were way more lucky against the Chiefs than they were the Bills. But anyway, yeah, they've just won all these games. And look, I think the chickens are going to come home to roost. I do think this is going to be the NFC Championship again. So I don't think this is the last time we see them play. But no. I think right now, with the way the 49ers are rolling, it's hard to pick against them. It really is.
Well, that's probably a foreshadowing. Although you've already said your pick here, so it's not really anything huge here. But I also say this: Rock a New Era said this. Keep Philly away from 3rd and short. Yes, and 4th and short. That's the key. This push or Bush tush, or sorry, I
tush push.
I know, because I got to think of Reggie Bush in 2005 against Notre Dame. The tush push or brotherly shove is going to be a huge factor in this game. Have the 49ers, do they have the personnel to stop it? And do the Eagles have something to counteract it? Are they going to do a straight up tush push? Are we going to have Fred Warner jump over the pile, the Predator, and find a way to stop them? Yeah, that's a new one. Yeah, I know. All right. Should we finally pick this game?
The Predator?
Because he looks like the Predator. And
I don't know if I like that. Actually, you know what? Upon first hearing that, didn't like it. Now at a second time, I kind of do like it.
don't you dare.
Damn.
Don't you dare give in to G-Pop and T-Rock.
He does kind of have that look, though. He does have that Predator look.
Here's the thing.
From the
though.
movie.
Yeah.
The movie.
No, he's not. Yeah, don't worry. He can live in any neighborhood. Don't worry.
Not the to catch a version, but rather just the movie version,
Yes, exactly. No, they call him the Predator on the broadcast, but Tim Webb, our board op on Tolbert and Cope's like, how come they have called him the Predator? And me and Cope's like, don't you dare give him any ideas.
Tim, you might be onto something.
Yeah, I know. All right.
Kind of like it.
Stop it, Steven. All right. Finally pick this game?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. We'll pick every game and wins. Don't false start.
Sorry.
Wins or wangs? There we go. All right, Steven, let's just start with the game that everybody cares about. 49ers, Eagles. These 49ers are 3-point favorites, and the over-under is 48.
Well, I'll just pull it up now. We got the picks. I am taking the over in this game. I got I got the 49ers -3. I really do think they're going to roll them. I think they're going to open up the scoring. They've scored in the opening possession as much as any team in the NFL. I think they've done it at a record pace. I think they're just going to really go up by too much for the Eagles to overcome. And you know, Jalen Hurts didn't play that well in last year's NFC Championship, and that could repeat itself. I think the Eagles are tired too, but I'm going to take the under in this game. So give me 49ers -3 under 48.
Wait, sorry, I thought you were going over.
I went under, excuse me. I wrote under, so I'm going under.
Okay, my bad. Here, let me change that.
We have it written down here. Why do you need to write it?
Because I need it.
Oh.
No, okay, so you're taking under, you're taking the Niners to win.
Yes.
I've gone back and forth on this. I could see the Eagles getting destroyed by the Niners. I really could. But between the weather and for whatever reason, I can't get this out of my mind. Them being home dogs, I just think that they're going to find a way to do this again. I think it's going to be a very intense game. It's going to be a one-possession game. It'll be back and forth. The Niners will find a way to score on this Eagles defense. The Eagles will find a way to score on this Niners defense. And it'll be a back-and-forth game, and in the end, the Eagles just find a way. So I am taking the Eagles to win, and I got the over.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
And I don't feel good about it at all. I could definitely see this Niner team kicking their ass.
Yeah, I think it's what's going to happen.
That's fair. All right, going through the other games. We've got, let's just go through the ones that are of significance that we could talk about a little bit more. Detroit at the Saints. Coming off their Thursday or Thanksgiving loss. Both of us have them rebounding against the New Orleans Saints. Both of us are taking the Lions to win, and we got the over. They are 4-point favorites, and the over-under is 47. Just buying the Lions more than the Saints at this point.
I am done picking the under on the Lions. We're going back to the over every single game, and how can anyone trust the Saints right now?
Yep.
They look terrible.
I will say this. Despite that, I think we have all 4 division winners playing against each other this week.
Yeah.
I still see the Saints winning the South.
Yeah.
It could be 8-9, but I think it's going to happen.
No, it's going to be ugly, but yeah, they very well could be the 4th team, and they're probably going to play the Eagles, or excuse me, the Cowboys. I think that's how it's going to
yeah.
I think that's how it's going to shape out. It's going to be the 4th and 5th. I think it's going to be the Saints and Eagles in the playoffs. But anyway, yep, I'm taking Detroit.
All right. From the Thursday night game between the Seahawks and Cowboys, you lead 2-1 because you had the Cowboys winning. You had the Seahawks covering. I just had the Cowboys winning and laying the points. Both of us took the under. That did not happen. I think it was the first time this Thursday night that someone hit the over.
That over was hit real quick, too. That was over by like the 3rd quarter.
Yep. And I think that was just because Pete Carroll knows Dan Quinn pretty well, so they were able to expose the defense a little bit. All right, just to go through the rest of the slate. We got the Arizona Cardinals against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are 6.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 41. Both of us think the Steelers are going to win, but those pesky Cardinals are going to cover, and both of us have the under.
And that's meant to say 6.5, not +6.
Okay.
Yeah.
6.5. Gotcha.
Oh.
Then we got the Atlanta Falcons playing against the Tim Boyles, the New York Jets, where the Falcons are 2-point favorites. You have the Falcons winning. You're laying the points, and you got the over on the 33.5.
Yeah.
I'm nuts. I'm crazy. I think with them playing last Friday, they have that time to prepare. I don't think Tim Boyle is going to play well, but I think that defense is going to play well. This could be a 9-3 game. I got the Jets winning, and I got the under.
Okay.
Then we got this interesting matchup between the Broncos and the Texans. Both are right now kind of outside of the playoff picture. Actually, not kind of. They are, but they very well could make the playoffs in the AFC at this point. The Texans are 3-point favorites, and the over-under is 47.5. Steven, you have the Texans winning, but you have the Broncos covering that 3. That's dicey.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup.
All right, and then you got the over. I think this is where the Texans kind of slide. Not to say that they won't finish with a winning record, but I think this is where we just see the inexperience of CJ Stroud to come into play, even though he's playing fantastic. I got the Broncos winning, and I got the under.
Yeah. Now, the Broncos had an impressive outings against the Chiefs and the Bills, but I think the defensive performance has largely been because the other quarterbacks weren't as accurate, and I think CJ Stroud has just been playing out of this world. So I think Houston wins. I think Denver's going to make it close because I think it's going to be a great game, but I think CJ Stroud. I don't think the Texans are going to slide here.
Nope. Okay, that's fair.
I think they're going to expose the Broncos defense for who they really are.
Don't sleep on that defense. The offense, I can see that, but defensively, they're pretty good.
All right.
Just don't count that 70-point performance against them all season. Then we got the Colts against the Titans. You have it as a pick'em. I got the Colts as 1-point favorites, but
that's exactly what a pick'em is, Derek.
Okay, whatever. Both of us have the Titans winning, and we got the over.
Yeah.
It's 42.5. Yeah. This game,
it's gonna suck.
All right, I got it's the Chargers against the Patriots, 5.5-point favorites. The over/under is 39.5. Chargers should win this game, and both of us are picking the Chargers. What did I put? I put the Chargers, and I'm laying the points with the Chargers. I actually don't have that. I'm changing my pick. I think I wrote down something different. I've got the Chargers winning. Yeah, I got the Chargers winning, but I have the Patriots covering that 5.5.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm going to change that. And I got the under happening.
I know the Broncos or the Chargers have stunk lately, but they're not that bad. The Patriots are at an all-time worst.
I know they are, and I guess Jabril Peppers was caught saying we're total ass.
Yeah.
To the Giants. I just feel the Chargers they're frauds, man. And they're going to clean house. Apparently they're going to fire Brandon Staley, but not until after the season. I'm just not buying them right now. I can't. I'm going to buy them to win this game, but for that 5.5, I can see this being a 3-point game.
Eesh.
Yeah. We got the Miami Dolphins going to Washington. First game without Jack Del Rio as defensive coordinator for the Commanders. First game without Jalen Phillips for the Dolphins. The Commanders are home dogs as the Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites. The over/under is 49.5. Steven has the Dolphins laying the 9.5 and the over. I got the Dolphins winning, but I got the Commies covering because of the preparation, and I got the under.
All right.
I think they'll be kind of motivated since firing Del Rio. Speaking of firings, I don't even know who the interim head coach is for the Panthers, but with Frank Reich out, the Buccaneers are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is 36.5. Yeah, 36.5. You have Tampa Bay winning, but Carolina covering, and you got the under. I got Tampa Bay winning, laying the points, and I like the over. I just think that the Buccaneers take it to them.
I think it's going to be a super close game.
All right, then.
I see it being like 17-14.
Okay, fair enough. And then we got the Cleveland Browns going to the Los Angeles Rams. and the Rams are 4-point favorites, and the over/under is 40.5. Dorian Thompson-Robinson not playing. PJ Walker, I guess he's the backup. Starting in this game is Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco. And call me crazy, the Rams looked very impressive last week.
You're crazy.
They got things rolling. I like this Browns defense a lot. I just think that Joe Flacco comes in and wins the game for him. So I'm taking the Cleveland Browns, and I got the over.
I hope it happens. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. We picked the Niners and Eagles. We got the Sunday night game. The Kansas City Chiefs go to Green Bay. The Chiefs are 6-point favorites, and the over/under is 42.5. Both of us see the Chiefs winning and laying the points, and we got the over. And this game would have been great if Joe Burrow was playing, but he's not. So on Monday night, we have, what's his name, Browning? Jake Browning?
Jake
Browning starting for the Bengals, who looked okay in the game against the Steelers, but not enough offense. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 8.5-point favorites, and the over/under is 38.5. Both of us have the Jags winning, laying the points, and we got the under.
There we go.
All right, then. Kill the music.
Killing it. Where is it? Got it.
All right. Before we get out of here, I got 2 more jackasses of the weeks that I want to throw out there. I know I did David Tepper earlier in the week, but that's because I just wanted to bring up the Frank Reich thing, which I thought was ridiculous. Jamal Adams. Did you see this, Steven?
No.
He had a terrible game against the Dallas Cowboys, and he allowed that Jake Ferguson touchdown to happen in the closing, not the closing seconds, but it was the go-ahead score for the Cowboys. Connor Hughes is a reporter for the Jets who covered Jamal Adams, and he shows the play, tweets out the play, which Jake Ferguson scores on him, and simply just says, yikes. Jamal Adams has been known to clap back at the media, but I thought this was way out of bounds. Jamal Adams tweets a photo of Connor Hughes and his wife and says, yikes. Sorry. That's ridiculous. That's horseshit. That is extremely disrespectful. You can call Jamal Adams to call out Connor Hughes for being a reporter or not knowing anything about football, but when it comes to talking about a man's wife, that is extremely disrespectful. And I think that's a jackass move.
Absolutely is. I mean, he puts #Prez at the end of every one of his tweets. You're a Jackass of the Year nominee for that.
Yeah. No, I saw that and didn't like that at all. Also, speaking of Texas and Oklahoma State frat killed and gutted a Longhorn and threw it on a Texas front lawn of a frat.
Jeez.
Another jackass move. Completely disrespectful and inhumane and just awful. So fuck those guys.
Yeah. Don't like that.
Don't like that at all.
Ernie asks, what about the Oakland Ballers?
I'm excited. I am excited. They're playing at Laney College. Is it going to replace the A's? Absolutely not. They're the Oakland Bees. It's a straight shot. They're going to wear green and gold. But I'll be there. I'll check out the games. I'll be there with Mr. Fab and Casey Pratt, and we'll have a good time. But is it going to replace the A's? No, it's not.
Yeah, I think it's great. But how good are these games actually going to be?
I know, hey, listen.
It's just an independent league. It's not like these guys are top-tier players.
I'm not expecting anything special.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get some beers. I'll invite you. I'll invite all the friends that want to come out to Oakland and watch these games. It's what is it called? What kind of league is this?
The Pioneer League.
The Pioneer League. It's not going to be great baseball. But, hey, it's sports in Oakland. I'll be there once. We'll see if it's good enough for me to come back. But if the tickets are cheap and there's good drinks, I'll be there.
I think it's great. I love any franchise going to Oakland, but they're still just playing at Laney College, and I don't know. It's an independent league. I should be excited about it, and I'll probably be covering them next year. But I think there's a lot to look forward to in the Bay Area coming up, and I just think that we're getting a little. It's overwhelming. I think the reaction to all of it, it's just, all right, we're in the Pioneer League and we got a replacement. Not really, but you know what though? I'm glad that Oakland's doing something. It'll be fun to
Yeah.
watch. It'll be fun to pay attention to. But
I'll tell you that. I mean, like, now that I live here, I'll be there and check it out. But I would have loved if do we have a name yet for the women's WNBA team for the
nah,
Warriors?
no, not yet.
Okay. I mean, I would have been there if they were going to play at Oracle, but it is what it is. They're playing at Chase, so. But no, I mean, it's fun, but yeah, it's Pioneer League.
Didn't am I blanking on this? Yeah, this is from a while back. I mean, do you think that the Warriors will play one game a year at Oakland Arena like Steph Curry wanted back in March?
I would love that, but the Raiders used to do that back in the day when they went to LA. They would come back for one preseason game to play in Oakland. I would love that.
Mhm.
I remember the Warriors and Lakers, I think play a game at the SAP Center a couple years ago in preseason. Yeah, that'd be sweet. Is Joe Lacob going to do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would be down for that.
Interesting. 49ers elevated wide receiver Chris Conley and safety Eric Harris to
You remember Eric Harris from the Raiders?
Oh yeah. Good player. He was at one point he was the new what was he? The new he was the new Giordano. He had like 3 interceptions in a row.
Or Jared Cooper or
Stuart Schwaggart.
Stuart Schwaggart.
White safety.
Yeah, any of the white safeties back in the day. All right, Steven. Anything else you want to bring up?
No, not really.
All
I think
right.
I'm good. Yeah.
Texas is up 49-14. Looking pretty good. I think we'll win this Big 12 championship. But we need a lot of help tonight. If Alabama somehow beats Georgia, that's going to cause a shitstorm. I shouldn't say somehow. They very well could. Florida State is down to their third string quarterback, I think, playing tonight.
Oof.
And some might even say Florida State shouldn't make the CFP because of that. I'm going to guess right now that Texas is going to get screwed out of the CFP. But if they somehow make it come tomorrow morning, I'll be happy. But I also expect them to lose in the first round to whoever.
All I want is you to be happy, Derek, so I hope so.
Thank you, Stephen. Horns up, everybody.
What? All right. Hook 'em.
On all that note, to everybody that watches and listens, have a great time watching this 49er and Eagle game tomorrow. Are you going to go quad box, Stephen? Or are you going to put this game on the big screen?
Tonight or tomorrow?
No, tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow it's on the big screen. Yeah.
You're not going to put Browns and Rams in the background?
No, I put the quad box in, but then I, enlarge the one that I actually want to watch, and then when they're at the commercial break, I go back.
Wait, can you enlarge that?
God, Derek, you are so bad at this. Yes.
Wait, hold. On YouTube TV, you can make it bigger?
Like you can make it so it's the full screen. You can go to the quad box and you click on the actual game and you can make it the full screen game.
Oh, I thought that there was a way to like it's
No.
split down. Okay.
Nah.
No, Steven, I know the tricks of the trade when it comes to YouTube TV. All right. I will probably have one TV on the whole thing, and then I'll have Rams and Browns and what's the other game? Panthers and Bucks. Ugh.
Lovely.
Split screen on something else. All right, everybody enjoy the college football games tonight. Enjoy the big games tomorrow. Steven, say what you always say.
It's just our opinion. That's quick.